The alien slave market was loud, dirty, and full of shouting. Traders yelled over each other, trying to sell their goods. Creatures from different planets walked around, checking slaves like they were animals. In the corner, under a torn cloth tent, was a small rusty cage. Inside sat a girl, thin, dirty, her purple skin covered in bruises. Her clothes were just rags. She had chains on her ankles, and her long white hair was tangled and dusty. She sat with her head down, not moving, like a broken doll. Only 1 credit for this one. The seller shouted, laughing, "Come on, take her. Feed her to your beasts if you want." Nobody looked twice. Some spat on the ground. One alien chuckled, "She looks dead already." The seller shook the cage. "Still alive, see?" She blinked. The girl did blink, but her eyes were empty. No hope, no fear, just nothing. Across the street, a human soldier named Jack Rayner walked past. He had just finished a mission and was heading back to his shuttle. He wore a dusty jacket, a small pack on his back, and a scar across his cheek. He looked tired, but sharp. The laughter caught his attention. He turned his head and saw the cage. He walked closer slowly. The seller noticed and grinned. "Hey, human, you want her?" "1 credit only, that's a gift." Jack didn't answer. He just crouched beside the cage and looked inside. The girl didn't. "Look back. What's her name?" Jack asked. The seller shrugged. "She doesn't speak. Maybe she can't. Useless, broken, dirty. I got her in a bulk deal. Just take her, man. I'll even throw in a leash. Why is she like this? Who knows?" The seller said, "Maybe she was beaten too much. Maybe she was born stupid. Some say she was thrown away by her own kind. Cursed, maybe." Jack didn't like that answer. He looked into the girl's face again. Her eyes were dull, but not dead. There was something hiding deep in them, like a tiny spark buried in ash. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. She didn't even flinch when the seller kicked the cage. She had given up. Jack stood up. He pulled out a single silver credit from his pocket. "I'll take her," he said. The seller blinked. "Wait, what? You serious?" Jack tossed the coin. It bounced in the seller's hand. "She's yours," the seller laughed. "Good luck with the trash, human." People nearby laughed and pointed. "He bought that? What's he gonna do, fix her?" Jack ignored them. He opened the cage gently. The girl didn't move. He bent down, took off his jacket, and wrapped it around her shoulders. She looked up for the first time. Her eyes, big, silver, and full of quiet pain, met his. "You're safe now," Jack said softly. She blinked once. Then slowly, like her body forgot how, she crawled forward and stood on shaking legs. Jack helped her walk. She leaned on him but said nothing. They walked out of the market together, with everyone watching. Some laughed. Some looked confused. But no one followed. That night, in a small shelter on the edge of town, Jack lit a heater and gave her clean water. She sat silently, holding the cup like it was a strange treasure. Her hands trembled. He handed her a clean piece of bread. She stared at it. Then, carefully, she took a bite. "I'll call you." Jack paused, looking at her. Double quotes, L-I-R-I. "That okay?" She didn't answer, but she didn't look away. Jack smiled. "Leary it is." He gave her a blanket and showed her a soft place to sleep. Then he laid his rifle beside him and closed his eyes. The room went quiet. But in the dark, Leary didn't sleep. She sat up slowly, eyes wide open, on the table nearby. Jack's knife gleamed in the moonlight. She crawled toward it, silent as a ghost. Her fingers wrapped around the handle. She stood and walked toward the sleeping human. Knife in hand. The knife was cold in her hand, sharp, real. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, Leary felt something. Not fear, not hunger. Controlled. She stood over the sleeping human. His eyes were closed, his chest rising and falling. Slowly. He bought me. Like I was trash. But why? She raised the knife. Then his voice broke the silence. "I left that there on purpose," Jack said softly. Her hands froze. She hadn't seen his eyes open. He didn't reach for a weapon. Didn't shout. Didn't even move. "I knew you'd think about it," he added. "I would too, if I were you." Leary trembled. Her grip loosened. "Go ahead," Jack said. "If that's what you want. But before you do, eat first." "You're shaking." She stared at him, unsure. Was this a trick? But her stomach growled loudly, betraying her. She dropped the knife. It clattered to the floor. Jack sat up slowly and handed her another piece of bread. "Eat, then we talk." Leary grabbed it and backed away like a cornered animal. But she ate. And for the first time, she didn't feel afraid. Just confused. The next morning, Jack led her through the quiet town. Her chain still clinked lightly. As she walked, he had removed the locks, but they were too tight to slide off without tools. People stared. Some laughed. Some whispered behind their hands, "Hey, human. How's your pet trash doing? Careful, she might bite." Jack didn't answer. He held his head high and kept walking. Leary followed in silence. They stopped at a local tech shop. "I need a key cutter," Jack said. The alien behind the counter looked at Leary, then at him. "Why?" "That one's not worth unlocking." Jack dropped a small bag of credits on the table. "Just give me the tool." With a scowl, the shopkeeper slid over the cutter. Outside, Jack gently pressed the tool to Leary's ankle chains. One click, then another, and the cold metal fell away. Leary looked down at her bare ankles like she couldn't believe it. She was free. Jack stood. "You don't owe me anything. You can walk away now." Leary looked at him. Her lips parted, but no words came out. No one had ever given her a choice. She didn't walk away. Later that evening, they sat beside a campfire outside the town, far from watching eyes. Jack handed her a small blanket. She wrapped herself in it without thinking. He looked at her carefully. "Do you remember who you were before they caged you?" Leary was quiet for a long time. Then finally, in a voice so soft it almost broke, she whispered, "I used to sing." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Sing?" She nodded. "For my people, for the stars, but..." They stopped listening. She touched her throat like it no longer worked. Jack poked the fire. "Well, maybe it's time someone listened again." She gave him a strange look, as if hearing that sentence hurt. As the fire crackled, something else moved in the shadows behind the trees. Figure with glowing red goggles, watching, listening. He pressed a button on his wrist. "She's alive," he whispered. "The girl survived. The human has her." Far away, in a dark room filled with smoke and secrets, a deep voice replied over the "Come, then kill them both." She had never cried before while standing in the rain. Not until now. Leary stood alone outside the shelter. Cold drops slid down her face, but they mixed with something warmer, tears. She didn't know why she was crying. Her body shook not from cold, but from something she didn't understand. Inside, Jack was cleaning his rifle, humming a human tune. The same one he'd hummed the night before while giving her food. No one had ever hummed around her before. No one had ever made her feel real. She opened the door slowly and stepped in, soaked. Jack looked up. "You okay?" "I'm not broken," she said, voice flat. "But I pretended to be." Jack didn't say anything. He just waited. Leary sat across from him. The fire crackled. Shadows danced on the walls. "I was born in a palace," she said. Jack blinked. "My father is was a high commander. Cold man. Powerful. He didn't want a daughter. He wanted a weapon." Jack leaned forward slightly, listening. "They trained me. Taught me how to fight. How to speak 5 languages. How to kill without noise. But when I refused to marry the man he chose, they said I was defective. She touched her chest. So they sold me. The words hit Jack like a punch. You were royalty? He asked. I was property, she replied. Just like everyone else in the end. She looked at him, eyes hard now. So don't treat me like a pet human. I'm not fragile. Jack smiled faintly. Good. I don't like fragile things. There was silence. But not the uncomfortable kind. Then suddenly crack. A sharp sound from outside. Jack was on his feet in an instant, gun drawn. He motioned for Leary to stay low. Outside, the trees rustled. Someone's here, Jack whispered. He opened the door carefully and stepped into the night. In the dark woods, a red laser dot danced across a tree trunk. The bounty hunter moved like a ghost, silent, fast. Trained. He raised his plasma pistol. His scanner beeped softly, 2 heat signatures nearby. But before he could aim, a rock flew from the side and hit him in the shoulder. He turned, too slow. Leary was already in the air, tackling him with a wild scream. They hit the ground hard. She grabbed his wrist, twisted it, and kicked the pistol away. The hunter growled and shoved her off, rising fast, but Jack was there now, rifle aimed. Don't move. The hunter laughed. You don't know what she is, human. That thing will get you killed. Jack didn't lower the gun. She's not a thing, the hunter spat. She's property of the Draxan Empire. And you just stole it. Jack's finger tightened on the trigger. She's free, the hunter smirked. Not for long. Boom! A smoke grenade exploded between them. In seconds, the bounty hunter vanished into the trees. Jack coughed. Leary, are you okay? She stood up slowly. He knew me. Yeah, Jack said, eyes scanning the trees. And now I know something too. What? You're not just some lost girl. She didn't reply. Jack looked her in the eyes. Why do they want you dead? Leary looked away. They fear what I remember, she whispered. Because I saw something. Something I was never meant to see. Asterisk, the fire was out. The night was quiet. Too quiet. Leary sat near the dying coals, staring into the ashes like they were mirrors to her past. I thought I was just broken, she said at last, voice almost lost in the wind. But now, I remember. Jack looked at her from the other side of the shelter. His rifle was nearby, but his focus was only on her. I saw something I shouldn't have, Leary whispered. And the moment they knew, they locked me away. Jack sat down beside her. What did you see? She closed her eyes. My father, the Draxan High Commander. He made a secret deal with the same alien enemy we were fighting. He gave them human prisoners in exchange for weapons. Jack's hands curled into fists. No one believed me, she continued. When I spoke, they said I was delusional. Sighed I was too soft, too emotional for battle. Her voice cracked. I was loyal, and they caged me like a beast. Jack spoke carefully. You have proof? She reached into the small bag she'd kept since the market. Tied to her belt with string. Inside was a thin, cracked memory shard, half broken, but glowing faintly. This has the message I stole, Leary said. The original voice order from my father. But it's locked. I couldn't open it alone. Jack gently took it, examining it. Military encryption. I might know someone who can break it. Before Leary could reply, a strange beeping echoed from Jack's wrist. "Com. An alert. Motion detected. He stood quickly, raising his weapon. Stay here. No, Leary said firmly, picking up a small knife. If they found us again, they won't wait. Outside in the dark hills, 2 red scout drones hovered low, scanning the trees with glowing eyes. They weren't bounty hunters this time. They were kill drones. Draxan military grade. Jack fired. The first shot, taking out one with a blast of plasma. The second one zipped around, firing back. Leary ran from the side, leaped, and stabbed it right in the lens. Sparks flew, and it fell with a hard crash. Jack looked at her, impressed. You fight better than some soldiers I know. Leary wiped the smoke from her arm. They trained me to kill, but they forgot to train me to quit. They packed fast and left the area before more drones arrived. By dawn, they reached an old refueling station at the edge of a ruined trade route. Inside was a grumpy mechanic with 4 arms, oil-stained clothes, and a habit of chewing on metal nuts. You're alive? He said, squinting at Jack. I thought you were dead last war. Still breathing, Jack said. I need your help. Jack showed him the cracked memory shard. Old Draxon encryption, the mechanic grunted. Won't be easy. Could take a few hours. Just do it, Jack said. Please. As the mechanic worked, Leary sat in the corner of the dusty room, staring at her hands. They were rough, scarred, but still her own. I don't know who I am anymore, she whispered. Jack sat beside her. You're someone who matters. That's enough. Suddenly the mechanic cursed. Got it. The file's playing. They ran over. The screen lit up. A tall figure stood on it. Her father. Cold, proud, speaking in a voice full of venom. The humans think we fight the enemy, he said. Let them believe it. As long as they die first. Leary's hands shook. Screen blinked again. A list of prisoners traded. Coordinates. Human names. Jack's face turned hard. Those were our men. Leary stepped back, her face pale. My father betrayed them all. The truth didn't set her free. It chained her heart with fire. Leary stood in the dusty corner of the mechanic's shop, staring at the glowing screen. Her father's voice echoed in her mind, again and again. Let the humans die first. The same humans who once called the Draxon allies. The same humans who trusted them with peace. Jack watched her closely. Her hands were clenched into fists. Her breathing was sharp. He sold them, she whispered. For power, for glory. Jack nodded. And now they're coming to silence you. Outside the wind howled. The sun was rising, but the light brought no comfort. The mechanic handed Jack a copy of the decrypted file on a tiny data chip. You better run. Human, he said. If the Draxon find out I helped you. You were never here, Jack said firmly. The mechanic winked and turned back to his workbench. And Leary stepped outside and froze. A dark, triangular ship was hovering just above the horizon. Draxon military colors. They're here, Jack muttered. That fast? Leary looked at him. They must have tracked the shard. He pulled her behind a pile of scrap. The ship landed hard, sending dust flying everywhere. A squad of armored soldiers marched out, cold, silent, and deadly. They weren't looking to talk. We can't fight them all, Jack whispered. We need to vanish. No, Leary said suddenly. We need to be seen. Jack frowned. What? Leary pointed to the data chip. If we keep running, they'll erase this, and no one will ever know the truth. So what do you want to do? We send it out. Now, to someone who will believe it. Jack thought fast. There's an outpost, old human war signal station. Still runs emergency channels. It's 2 days through the canyon, Leary nodded. Then we move. They snuck through the alleys behind the refuel station. Jack took out 2 scouts with silent shots. Leary moved like a shadow, fast, low, invisible. But the Draxon weren't. Stupid. They found the mechanic. Jack and Leary watched from behind a broken wall. The commander barked, Where are they? The mechanic laughed. You're asking the wrong guy, Buckethead. Crack. A single plasma shot hit the wall just beside his head. Leary flinched. They'll kill him, she said. Jack tightened his jaw. I know. Leary looked at him. We have to save him. Jack stared at her. Are you sure? One wrong move. We all die. Her eyes burned with fire now. I won't be the reason someone else gets thrown away. Together, they made a quick plan. Jack circled behind the troops. Leary climbed onto a roof. One soldier turned at the wrong second and got kicked in the face by Leary. Dropping from above, Jack shot another in the leg and tackled a third. The chaos only lasted 10 seconds, but it was enough. They grabbed the mechanic and vanished into the canyon, leaving dust and confusion behind. That night, around a hidden fire in a narrow cave, Leary sat quietly while Jack treated her scraped arm. "You didn't have to help him," Jack said. Leary looked at him. "Yes, I did," he smiled. "You're not the same girl I found in that cage." She looked into his eyes. "You're not the same soldier either." For the first time, they weren't just running. They were fighting back, far away. The Draxan commander smashed his fist into the ground. "She has the file," he hissed. "And she's not hiding anymore." He turned to his second in command. "Send." The order: full force. She dies before that data goes public. Asterisk, the wind whispered through the canyon like a ghost warning them to turn back. But Leary didn't turn back anymore. She stood at the edge of a broken cliff, looking down at the forgotten. Signal Outpost 9, half buried in sand and time. The outpost was dead silent. Its roof had caved in long ago. Wires hung like vines from its side. But deep inside, under all the rubble, the old emergency beacon still blinked, a faint green light. One last voice of truth in a galaxy full of lies. "We go down together." Jack sat beside her. "No," Leary replied, her voice sharp. "You go in. I hold them off." Jack frowned. "You're not bait." She turned, eyes full of fire. "I'm not a victim either." They climbed down the crumbling slope and reached the rusted doors. Jack worked on the keypad while Leary kept watch with a stolen plasma rifle. Suddenly, dash boom. A blast echoed through the canyon. Dust rained down. A Draxan dropship thundered into view, black and massive, shaking the rocks as it landed on the ridge above them. Shouted, "They're early." Leary raised her rifle. "Then we're late." Inside the outpost, the halls were dark and tight. Sand covered the floor. Broken lights flickered like dying stars. Jack found the main console cracked, dusty, but still alive. He slammed the data. Ship into the port. The screen blinked. "Uploading." 27%, he muttered. Come on." Outside, Leary took cover behind a jagged boulder. The Draxan soldiers advanced fast, dark armor, glowing eyes, blasters ready. She fired once, twice, hitting. 2. The others scattered, returning fire. Her shoulder burned as a shot grazed her. She didn't fall. She didn't scream. She just gritted her teeth and kept firing. Uploading. 62%. Inside, Jack rewired the antenna with shaking hands. Sparks flew, but the signal held. He could hear the battle outside. Uploading. 81%. He looked toward the door. "Hang on, Leary." Leary crouched behind the last cover she had, bleeding, breathing hard. Her blaster was nearly empty. A Draxan officer walked toward her, slow and smiling. "You always were trouble, girl. You always were a coward," she spat. He raised his gun, aimed at her head. Then BLAM. A shot rang out. The officer collapsed. Jack stood behind him, rifle smoking. "You left the door open," he said with a grin. She laughed, even as blood ran down her arm. Upload complete. A loud beep came from the outpost console. Then a green light shot into the sky. Across nearby systems, news alerts blinked, screens lit up. Draxan betrayal revealed. Human POW trade confirmed by secret file. High Commander's own daughter exposes war crimes. The signal had gone out. The galaxy now knew. Back at the outpost, Draxan forces retreated in chaos as their comms were flooded with orders to stand down. Commanders were recalled. Panic spread. Jack helped Leary sit down. "It's over." She nodded weakly. "Not yet, but it started." He smiled. "And you started it." She leaned against him, eyes tired. "You saved me." Jack shook his head. "No, you saved yourself. I just saw it before you did." Far away, in a grand palace of black stone, the High Commander watched the news feed with shaking hands. "My daughter," he whispered, "she's alive. And she just destroyed everything." She stood in front of the mirror one she didn't recognize, wearing clothes that didn't belong to a slave. No bruises, no chains, just a long coat, dusty boots, and freedom in her eyes. Leary didn't recognize this woman, because this woman stood tall, proud, unbroken. Behind her, a knock came at the door. "It's time," Jack's voice said. She took a deep breath and opened it. Outside, on the Human Alliance base, reporters and soldiers filled the courtyard. Cameras hovered in the air, screens lit up with her face. "Is that really her?" one whispered. "The Draxon daughter who exposed them?" Jack stood beside her, dressed in his uniform, looking calm but alert. She walked forward with steady steps. The wind blew her hair across her face. Somewhere a child whispered, "She looks like a warrior." And she was, a human commander. Greeted her. "Leary, the truth you sent saved lives. Exposed monsters. Gave us power to stop more war." She nodded once. "I didn't do it alone." The commander glanced at Jack. "So what will you do now?" "The galaxy wants a symbol, a leader. You could become something bigger than your past." Leary looked at the crowd, then at Jack. "I don't want to lead armies. I don't want a throne." "What do you want?" She turned to Jack. "A chance. To live like I'm not owned. To love without fear. To matter without needing permission." Jack smiled gently. "That sounds like a good plan." That evening, away from the lights and noise, Jack and Leary sat on a hill above the base. The stars stretched forever above them. Free and wild. Liri held something in her hand. The rusted chain from her old ankle shackle. "I keep this," she said, "to remind me where I came from." Jack leaned back, arms behind his head. "And where are you going?" She looked at him. "Wherever you are," he chuckled. That was almost romantic. "I'm still learning," she smirked. Then she grew quiet. "When you first saw me in that cage, why did you buy me?" Jack didn't answer right away. Finally he said, "Because even though the world saw a worthless girl in a cage, I saw someone who hadn't given up." He looked at her. "I saw a spark, and I knew it just needed a chance to burn." Far away, the Draxon Empire was falling apart. The High Commander was arrested by his own guards. Protests filled the streets. And across the stars, people whispered the name Leary with awe, not as a prisoner, not as a slave, but as a human story, a story of rising from dust, a story of worth. Asterisk.